What's up on Power Ass Crew? Today's video we're doing a 2012 JKU. It's a sweet rig. The front end's had a little bit of play in it. If you took the steering wheel and rocked it back and forth, you can feel the drag link was popping a little bit in it. So that's our video for the day. We're changing the drag link in 2012 JKU. Let's do the diagnostics of this bar here. What we're changing, we're going to change it from here all the way across here for your drag link. And notice how easy it moves. That was kind of a giveaway for me at one point, thinking, that's kind of loose. But what really gave it away was right down here when he starts moving the steering wheel. See the movement in that knuckle right there. As I put my hand on it, you can really feel that ball socket moving inside there. So the first thing we want to do, we're going to take this nut out right here and that nut right there. We're going to drop this drag link down. So right there, and your socket is, golly, 13/16 is probably a metric equivalent, but we're using a 13/16 because it fits. So the socket you'll be using, 13/16. Get them off. One nut there and one nut right there. Okay, now that we got the nuts pulled up, we're probably going to go old school with this one. You can get the tool that like a press that presses the stud down through the knuckle, but we're going to use the old school forks. Basically what you're going to do is get the fork stuck in between here, because it's going to go around, the fork will go around the ball, the stud right there. And as you drive it up in there, it should separate that up inside here, because what you got is the stud comes up and it's at a taper this way and taper that way. As you tighten the bolt up, it forces itself as an interference fit up inside the knuckle. So put the fork in here, driving it, it releases that interference fit where that taper is up inside there. So you're going to do that here and right there, separate it from the pitman arm. Beat it, you'll see. And now you can see up close what I did right there. I simply put this up in here. Now you notice on these forks you got an angle side and a flat side. Old school thing says that you should use this side, you should use that side. Me, I couldn't care less, because at the end of the day it's still a wedge. And what you're doing is that angle, you can actually set that angle high or low, which will kick this handle high or low to give yourself a better angle to get up in there. So I'm not going to go into the whole detail crap about you should use a flat side or the angle side, up, low, whatever. Position it to where you can get the best angle with your hammer and just keep hitting it, and you'll drive that fork up inside there. You see how it separated and popped that angle down right there. So now we're going to pop the other side. Well, we were actually going to video this or showing you guys, tapping it with a hammer and drop it down, but we tapped it like twice and it just kind of fell down, so it went really super easy. Now where the pitman arm is up so high right there, notice how I got the angle. If you look at it, handle, call this flat, call this angle. As you see, because flat right here, because then it's parallel to the handle here, then it kicks down at an angle. What helps is that, we positioned it like this to get it down below the bumper, like this. And we were expecting to have to put a little Wheaties to it to smack it around a little bit, and it just kind of popped out, so we got lucky. Pretty easy. All right, so let's get this thing out here. We'll size up the new one. Okay, let's show you the difference. New one, old one. Old one, look at it, pretty floppy. Now when it's on the rig and you got the pitman arm locked on here, you can feel the notchiness of this ball socket right here moving back and forth. Now the new one, I'm not gonna move it. That's the difference. This thing right here is like super tight. This, not so much. So yeah, like I said, I can't make that notchiness happen, but the pressure of the pitman arm pushing this back and forth, along with those things rolling 37s on it, it'll make this pivot ball side here shift back and forth. So I just want to show you that this isn't no moving, this is. All right, let's get the new one put together. Okay, for demonstration purposes, I want to show you guys something. These sleeves are dependent on which end they go on. Notice, right here there's no tab. Right here there's a tab. Why? Because watch this. It'll screw on this end here. The tie rod piece has to screw in this end because the thread in different direction. One's right hand, one's left hand thread. So it does matter which way the sleeve goes. This sleeve right here happens to be marked with that tab right there, which goes on to the main drag link part. Then this will screw into here like such, and we got them started. But we got to run both of these in quite a bit. We'll probably end up with about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch gap right along in here somewhere. So whenever I get these screwed in like that, now some of you guys are like, hey idiot, you're forgetting something. Yes, I know. I took these off for demonstration purposes. I'm about to put them right back on because I didn't want them flopped around where I could show you guys the threads up inside here and how they're engaging. So I'm gonna put these back on real quick. Then I'm gonna screw these in to about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch gap here. Then we're gonna make the length overall of this match the old one. So I'll be back with you in a moment. So let me show you guys what I'm doing. And I've got them partially the way run in right here. But what I'm doing, I'm taking first the tie rod in first. I'm turning it. I'm counting out here. It's pointing straight down. I'll turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as you see how it running that far. Now what I'm going to do, just kind of keep it pretty well even. This one, I've got to turn it back the other direction because of the way the thread is, because you want the sleeve to go this way on your threads to shorten the bar down so we can make it match this one. So now, again, when my tie rod's pointing down right here, the post, I'll use that as a way to count my rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Again, if you look into the rod here, into the tie rod, and we're still pretty well spaced evenly inside here. So we're going to take a tape measure for kicks and giggles. Where'd it go? There it is. This, measuring from center of this to center of this, we're looking at about 40.5 inches overall length from center to center. Now for this one, now when we do our final measurement, I'm not going to use this post right here, but just get us in the ballpark, I'm going to use this right here because brand new part, you're pretty well centered in line with the pivot ball down inside here. So it's kind of safe for preliminary measures to stick your tape right here for a center line. And you come up here in the middle of the zerk fitting, we're looking at about 40 7/8. So we still got a little bit more. We got to run this in to get the exact same width as the original one down here. So turn it a little bit more. You've seen how I did it, making it even. So we're gonna turn just a little bit until we make this match on this one right here. So see you in a minute. Okay, just to show you guys, we're gonna go again here, center of this to center of this. We're about 40.5 inches from center of each one of those. Center of this one, just to the zerk fitting center on this one. Looks like we got maybe one more turn. Let me check where I'm at down here, okay? Looks like we're gonna try one more turn on the tie rod end, and that probably puts us right where we need. Now as you can see, right on the last little bit, as you're cranking it down, you turn maybe 1 or 2 turns each part. Let's see, probably I'm gonna go ahead and see. Right there, let's see what we got on that one. Center line down here. Kick it one more time. We are pay dirt. We good. So at this point here, if you want to, you can go ahead and lock in your collars. Don't lock them down tight. You just want to squeeze them enough that really you don't want to do it at all. Because what you want to do at this point, you don't lock your collars down. We'll go ahead and put this thing in place, and it should go up beside where they're pivoted, like it's right here, a pivot, they're angled, the posts are. It should line directly up in there and we're good to go. Then once we see we got the front end put together, then you can start locking these down. Now, one thing I want to take a note, express to you guys, we got this thing really crazy close, but you really should also get your front end checked for alignment and such. This being close, you're probably going to be okay. But if you get this too far, spread like this, what it's going to do, your steering wheel sits here and you're driving straight. If you get it too long, it can catch your steering wheel right or left or something like that. So if you're really crazy picky about where your steering wheel is positioned, this is what's going to position your steering wheel being straight up and down when you're going straight down the road. So if you get in there and you're driving straight and you're happy with it, you're good to go. But if you need to go get a front end alignment to make yourself feel better, I totally advise it. So we're going to put this thing in place, and I'll see you in a minute. And I'd like to express one more important note to you guys before I put this drag link back in. Under no circumstances, once you get the bar out, do not turn your steering wheel, because what that's going to do is going to move your pitman arm, and you're going to throw all the relationship all out of whack. And now, yes, if you've got your drag link set the proper length, like I showed you between the old one and the new one, you're going to be okay, because then you can turn your steering wheel, put your pitman arm back in place, and bolt it up. But just for your own point of reference, that to reassure yourself you're doing the right thing, don't turn your steering wheel. That way your drag links sit up inside there, and it should fit perfectly as you enter everything in. Cool? Alright, remember that. I'll give you guys a very important installation tip that will save yourself a lot of cussing and fussing and neighbors thinking you're crazy because you're yelling, screaming, throwing stuff. Do not put the pitman arm in first. That in right there? Don't put that in first. Put that in first, simply because where this comes across here, if you put that in first, it's not allowing you to rotate this and tilt it, because you got to tilt it downward, then feed it up inside there. It makes life so much easier. Then once you get that seized there, then you can put the end for the pitman arm in next. But do your knuckle first. Make life so much easier on yourself. Now the pitman arm end, what you want to do is you straight it up there. Some people who are not experienced with this, the boot here that covers this, people just put it up there and they're trying to put the nut on, it won't reach. If you're laying on your back, you kind of do like a bench press. Put it in place and push upward like that. It collapses that boot like it's supposed to be, and your stud comes up the top of the pitman arm. And then you can run your castle nut down to the pitman arm. And ta-da! Now I know someone's gonna ask, and now here's the numbers. Someone's gonna ask, well, what's the proper torque specs on doing this? The pitman arm end, you're looking at about 77 pounds. The knuckle end, you're about 63 pounds. Now the knuckle end, you may, more than likely you will, run into a problem as you're tightening this nut up. The stud here will turn all the way down through here, and you're like, wait, this tightening, I'll keep cranking it, I know it should be done. Well, you're right, it should be, but here's what's happening. That stud right there starts turning. Let me swap hands with the camera. Let me show you guys. You see, watch it. And I got the hex key right there for you guys to see it rotating. And see, when you start turning it, it's turning the whole thing. But the beauty of these part replacements here is that it's got, as you can see, the hex key right on the top of it. So you put the hex key in place, take the nut, take your wrench, tighten this up, and I'm using a 13/16 socket, but using the adjustable wrench for the moment. But once you get to a certain point and you get it tight enough, that angle inside here wedges up inside the knuckle, then you can go back to a socket to finish tightening it down. The nut here has a poly lock insert to prevent it from backing out. So, long story short, take the hex key, I'll get out in a minute. Take the hex key, hold it in place, take the wrench here, tighten it up until you get that post bottomed out inside the knuckle. Show you guys a little trick here. Got a 13mm wrench, put it on the end of your hex key here, and so whenever you tighten it up, it's going to press against the tire, and whenever you get through tightening up, you simply grab the wrench, leverage it back a little bit, slide it right off, then the hex key comes out much easier. Because if you take the hex key, let it bump against the tire, and you get this tight, it becomes a total pain in the butt to get the key out of there. One option you could do is take your hammer and tap it from the bottom and it'll come up out of there, but it's much easier to lodge a wrench against the tire like this, pull it back, wrench out like here a little bit, the wrench will slide off, which releases the key completely. Let's get her tight. Okay, so we got it tight now. You take the wrench, pull it back a little bit, rotate the wrench down, boom, slides right off. Hex key comes right out. So much easier. Now, this is on 2012 JKU. A lot of your older cars, you will not have that option to have a hex key at the top of it. Then you start tightening things up, that thing starts spinning, and it will drive you out of your ever-loving mind to try to figure out what's going on. What you can do is get you a C-clamp, put your pad down here, and up here, tighten down your C-clamp, grab just enough of the knuckle or whatever you're pressing that angle piece into the knuckle or wherever it is you're putting in. If you squeeze it tight enough with a C-clamp, that will make that post lodge inside here. Then you can tighten that up to the point that it'll finally lock in. You can tighten it up correctly. Fortunately, everything's going pretty smooth. I don't have to do that. So I'm gonna put my final torque specs right there on that, and we're good to go.
How come the only flathead screwdrivers I got are great big ones?
Make good pry bars. Alright, so on the pitman arm end, I've got that tightened to probably 77 pounds plus, honestly. But what you gotta look at, right, if I can see the camera, right there is where your cotter key goes through. So that's a or what you call a castellated nut. Can you see the obvious reasons why? Because the top of it looks like a castle. So what you do, once you get to the point you're about 77 pounds or where your torque specs is to whatever type of part you're using, in this case being the drag link, you may have to tighten it just a little bit more until that castellated nut lines up with that hole through the post right there. That is where you will put your cotter pin that I've already lost in place. Okay, gotta find my cotter pin. So once you got the castellated, everything lined, once you got the castle nut lined up with that hole as I showed you, you take your cotter pin, slide it all the way through till it bottoms out. You see it came out this side right here. Then we're gonna bend it back. In this case, we'll grab this top here, bend it up over the post this way, and we'll bend this one down. Or some people bend them around like this. It's totally up to you which way you want to bend it. But if you're putting them in correctly, this end of the cotter pin is inside the castle part of the nut. So really it only gives you the choice of bending this up and over the end of that post. And you'll bend this down as much as possible, keep from hanging your finger on it if you ever stick it up inside there. Now as you can see, the cotter pin from this side right here, I folded it over top of the post, and I took the screwdriver, bumped it down to the bent, and pushed it down against the nut right there, so therefore it won't back up, and which also allows this castle nut here not to be able to rotate and loosen. So we're good to go. Now, do you guys notice what I have not done yet? I have not put my grease fitting in yet, and I do that on purpose because you don't want to put the grease fitting in while you do the install, because if you bump it against something and break it up inside there, you kind of got a problem. So once you get installed, once you get to everything installed here, then put your zerk fitting in, and you'll be good to go on that part. Whenever you got your grease fitting, leave it in your bag, lay it on your toolbox someplace. Much easier to find the whole bag than it is to find a little bitty thing right there. Now we're going to put the zerk fitting in here with a 9/32 socket. Now if you put the zerk fitting in, just drop it in, it's going to drop right down to the bottom, and it's going to be a pain in the butt, and the threads won't reach where it needs to go. What do? Ta-da! Paper towels to the rescue. Get out of there. Stuff you a little tiny piece of paper towel down inside your socket, like so. Then your zerk fitting, the grease tip fitting here, will stick outward enough like that to allow you to get your thread started on your pitman arm. Like so. Then you tighten it up. Okay, we got the grease fitting installed. You just want to put it up just to the point the threads bottom out and they just get snug. No more, just snug. You twist it off up in there, you got issues. When you go to grease the cup here, snap your fitting on, just make your cup swell. Do not keep pumping until you see grease shooting out of the cup. That's too much at that point. Because whenever you're squeezing the juice, grease, whatever you want to call it, when you squeeze it out, you're actually allowing a pathway of junk to get inside there and eat up on the ball socket joint inside here. So you just put enough grease in just to make the rubber boot here, make it swell. Do not popping grease out of it. That's a bad thing. Okay, on the drag link, what this sleeve here does, when you tighten and loosen it, it lengthens and shortens the overall length from this point, center line to that center line down here. So if you lengthen it, what it does, it takes your pitman arm, pushes it this way, and it'll turn your steering wheel. You shorten it, it'll turn your steering wheel this way on the pitman arm. So that's why you want it the exact same length, and that keeps your steering wheel centered as it was before. So if you do a front end alignment, and they'll turn or adjust it right here to position your steering wheel where it needs to be. So before we put the new one in, we check the center line here, we check the center line down there, they're the exact same length. Whenever I put it in the knuckle, pressed it in place, tightened it up, put this one in place, tightened it up, everything fell in line perfectly centered. The steering wheel didn't have to turn, knuckles didn't turn, so I feel very confident that I nailed it first round. So now we're going to put these in place and tighten them up. So my power ass crew, if you enjoyed that video, hit me with a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, leave some cool comments down below. It's been a while since I've had a JKU on the channel. So most of the mechanic work is going to happen to this rig right here. I'll probably be the one doing it, so whenever I get to work on it, I'll get the videos for you guys, for you JKU owners. So if you enjoyed that video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, leave some cool comments down below. Appreciate you hanging out. Peace out. Later, y'all.